All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Office Hours. Today, we're going to be talking about what the VAS, which is your value articulator statement. So, I don't know about you, but the question that I probably dread the most is hmm, how do you introduce yourself? When somebody says, hi, what do you do for a living? Or, what kind of evaluation do you do? I don't know about you, but sometimes I kind of like stumble. For me, it's the question that I've really probably practiced the most in the last couple of years is how do you introduce yourself? And that might be different depending on what kind of audience that you are speaking to, whether or not you're speaking to maybe potential clients or maybe you're speaking to other people. But if you're like me, and maybe you are, there are a lot of us who don't know how to introduce ourselves, who struggle with how to introduce ourselves. And this is actually a search that I did when I did this talk probably a year or so ago. So I'm sure there's a lot more than probably 300,000 people who are asking this question. But it is definitely a struggle. The struggle is definitely real. So here's what I want you to think about. What do you want to be known for? When somebody hears your name or hears your company name, what do you want to be known for? All right, so your introduction does not have to be a canned speech at all. And it really can be different depending on your audience. So, how I introduce myself, for example, in the IC chats on Thursday, is I usually say something about, hey, I'm Ann Price. I'm a community psychologist and evaluator. I work with coalitions, nonprofits, and foundations, right? How I introduce myself to potential clients is going to be a lot more specific than that. So I want to introduce you to someone who you may or may not know. And I just want to play a little bit of this video and let Mel talk to you about value articulator statements.
Hey there, Mel Abraham here, the author of the #1 best-selling book, The Entrepreneur Solution, and the founder of Thoughtpreneur Academy, where we teach you how to brand
The
yourself
audio is very, very low, Anne.
Okay, hold on just a second.
more freedom.
Okay.
Let me see. Point my mic to it and see if that doesn't help.
Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur Solution Show. In this
Is that better?
episode, we're going to talk about
It's
your value.
better, but it's still low.
Here's an interesting story. So I was recently in the middle of
That's great.
a presentation for a board of directors that I sit on, and we had a couple of vendors that we were meeting with on a high-priced big project that we were going to hire a vendor on, a consultant, if you will. And at the last question that we asked each and every consultant was this. Clearly, we're talking to a few other people. The question we have is, why should we hire you versus them? And the funny thing is, and the scary thing was, is that out of all three of the people that we talked to, most of them had, in fact, all of them had a difficult time answering that question. And I'm thinking, wait a second, you came into a meeting that you knew was a meeting with a board of directors, with a committee, to evaluate your ability to do work with us, to maybe help us out on a project. And when we ask the question, why should we hire you? You can't articulate it in a clear, concise, definitive way that sets you apart from the rest. Well, now we've got a problem. And that's what this episode's about. So in this episode, we're going to talk about something that I call the Value Articulator and the Value Articulator template. You can get the action guide here by going to...
All right, I'm going to stop that, and you can Google Mel. He's got podcasts, got YouTube videos. He's everywhere. I'm just gonna let me switch the mic around so you can hear me. Hopefully, all right. So, like I said, you can go find Mel, but I'm going to give you his value articulator statement. Say that 3 times fast. The value articulator statement template that he shares. Oops, sorry. If I can get to the right screen. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So here is Mel's value articulator statement. I help X do Y so that Z, unlike A, because of B. That's his formula. I help X do Y so that Z, unlike A, because of B. So I have an example that I might use using this template. So I help community leaders understand the root causes of their community's problems so that their work contributes to real and lasting change rather than focusing on program outcomes alone. Kind of long, but that is an example of how you might use his value articulator statement. So one thing you might notice about that is that you are very clear. I help this audience, your ideal client, do this thing so that they get this result. Now he adds this little twist to it that you don't often hear. And if you go back and listen to this video again, listen to how he introduces himself, because he basically uses this formula, right? But the twist is, unlike A, right? That's that differentiator. Now, you may not need this when you're introducing yourself in the Zoom room, but if you are, say, you're responding to an RFP and you're one of the top 3 folks who are being interviewed to possibly get the work, then you bet yourself that you are going to want to be able to say how you are different. How is your firm different than the other people that they are interviewing? We talk a lot about having an abundance mindset here and not being competitive, but there are some times where we are in competition with each other. That is just the reality. So why should somebody hire you as opposed to somebody else, right? We all do logic models. We all do theories of change. We all do evaluation plans. What is it about your work that makes it difference? Makes you different, rather. So here I am stumbling over my words. I kind of stumbled in the beginning, and that just goes to show how much practice it takes to really be able to articulate yourself very well. And this is something you want to get right. So my old value articulator statement was something like, I help community leaders be more effective and better tell their story. And if it's an audience who doesn't know me, then I'm probably going to go on and say, hey, my name is Ann Price, and I'm a community psychologist and evaluator. That's usually how I introduce myself. I started hearing people use storytelling a lot. It's actually the theme of the conference this year. So I heard a lot of evaluators talking about, I help people use their data to better tell their story. And that sounded too much like mine. So now my value articulator statement goes more something like this. I partner with community coalitions and community-based organizations to design effective strategies to create thriving communities, something like that. That's more aligned with the value articulator statement that I am using now. All right, so I want to stop the video. I want to give you guys time to practice. So I'm going to send you to some breakout rooms. We're going to practice, and then we'll come back together. You can tell me how that went. I know some of you have a pretty well developed VAS already. Some of you may be hearing this term for the first time. So let me stop the screen share and stop the recording. I'll answer any questions you have before we go to the breakout room.